Hare Krishna, Dandavat pranams to everybody. Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Today, 16th of February, 2024, and most sacred day, Sri Advaita Saptami. So today, I think we'll probably not even have enough time to discuss all his glories, but we'll go through his glories to the best of my ability and share them all with you. Okay, we'll have a kirtan and then we'll begin. Namo Vishnupadaya Aradhikaya Priyatmane Shri Srimad Bhakti Vedanta Narayaniti Namine Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Dishatarine Nama Om Vishnupadaya Gaura Prasthaya Bhutale Shri Srimad Bhakti Pragyana Keshaviti Namine Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Iti Namine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Sadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ramo 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ramo 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ramo 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ramo 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 Hare Hare Oh Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ramo 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ramo Oh Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ramo 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 Hare 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 Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Oh, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Oh, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Oh, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Gaura Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura. Jaya Nityananda Rai, Jaya Nityananda Rai, Nityananda Rai, Jaya Nityananda Rai. Oh, Jaya Sachinandan, Jaya Gaura Hari, Sachinandan, Jaya Gaura Hari. Oh, Jaya Radha, Madana Mohan Radha, Madana Mohan Radhe. Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Shri Radhe. Oh, Radhe, 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 Radhe. Jai Shri Shri Guru Garanga Ganhavika Giridhari Radha Madan Mohan Ju Ki Jai Vrishabhanu Nandini Vajeshwari Radharani Ki Jai Nityananda Rai Ki Jai Sachinandana Gaura Hari Ki Jai Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur Ki Jai Surabhi Kunj Ki Jai Jai Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Asto Tarasara Shishimat Srila Bhakti Vedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai Jai Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Asto Tarasara Shishimat Srila Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Jai Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Asto Tarasara Shishimat Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai Jai Jagat Guru Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Asto Tarasara Shishimat Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada Ki Jai Jai Paramahamsa Mahabhagavat Srila Gaurikishore Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai Jai Saptam Goswami Srila Sachidananda Bhakti Vinod Thakur Ki Jai Jai Vaishnav Sarvabhauma Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai Jai Srila Baladevi Dibhushan Gaudi Brantaracharya Ki Jai Jai Srila Vishnath Chakravarti Thakur Ki Jai Jai Narottam Srinivas Shyamananda Prabhu Treya Ki Jai Jai Srila Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami Ki Jai Jai Shri Rup Sanatan Shibata Raghunath Shri Jiva Gopal Harkasa Raghunath Sad Goswami Prabhu's Ki Jai Jai we have to Rai Ramananda Swarup Damodar Ki Jai Jai Swarup Damodar Rai Ramananda Gaura Prasada Ki Jai Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Prem Siga Holsi Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Shri Gauda Bhakta Brinda Ki Jai Shri Antadvip Mayapur Simantadvip Gautandvip Madhudvip Koladvip Ritadvip Janadvip Modandvip Rudradvip Atmaka Navadvip Dham Ki Jai Shri Shri Radha Krishna Kogopi Govardhan Dvarasa Vardmatmika Brajamandal Ki Jai Shri Radha Kun Shama Kun Ganga Jamuni Devi Tulsi Devi Bhakti Devi Ki Jai, Shrimati Brinda Devi Maharani Ki Jai, Shrimati Purnamasi Devi Yogamaya Maharani Ki Jai, Gopeshwar Mahadev Ki Jai, Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Sudarshan Chakra Ki Jai, Ketra Mandal Ki Jai, Sarva Vigna Vinashakari Shri Nrsingadev Bhagavan Ki Jai, Bhakta Prabha Shri Prahlad Maharaj Ki Jai, Charidam Ki Jai, Sari Sampradaya Ki Jai, Charya Charya Ki Jai, Akara Mataraj Shri Chaitanya Mat Ki Jai, Shri Keshavji Gaudiya Mat Ki Jai, Anant Sri Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai, Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai, Ananta Kota Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai, Samagata Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai, Gauda Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. Om Megina Timirandasya Gyananjala Shalakaya Chakshu Unmilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Gurave Gaura Chandraya Radhikaya Tadalaye Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tadavaktaya Namo Namaha Priya Surupe Daita Surupe Prema Surupe Sahaja Virupe Nijana Rupe Prabhueka Rupe Tatana Rupe Swabila Surupe Anapita Chirim Chirat Kuranavartino Kalo Samarpaitam Unnata Ujvala Rasam Swabhakti Shriyam Hari Purata Sundarata Dikatamba Sudipita Sada Hridare Kandare Spuratu Vasachinandanaha Yam Prabhajantamanapetyam Apeti Dvaipaino Viraha Katara Ajuhava Putre Titam Mayatayo Tarvo Benidustam Sarvabhutam Hridim Munimanatoshmi Bhaktya Vihina Aparada Lakshay Shiptascha Karmadi Tarangamadye Kripa Maitvam Sharanam Prapana Brinde Namaste Charanarvindam Bhajami Radham Aravinda Netram Smarami Radham Madhurashmitasyam Vadami Radham Karuna Paratram Tato Mamanasti Katyena Kapi Tavaivasmi Najivami Tvaivina Iti Vignaya Radhe Tvam Naimam Charanantikam. I'm first of all offering millions and millions of Dandavat pranams out of the lotus feet of my beloved Gurudev. Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Asto Tarasarashi Shimad Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj. And I'm offering the same again millions and millions of times unto the lotus feet of our beloved Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Asto Tarasarashi Shimad Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. And again, I'm offering to my most dearly beloved Namo Bhakti Vinodaya Satchidananda Namani Gauda Shakti Swarupaya Rupanuga Varayate, and all our illustrious Rupanuga Guru Vargya and all the Vaishnava and Vaishnavi devotees of the Lord, my Dandavat pranams to all of you. Vancha kalpa tarubhyascha kripa sindhavevicha patitanam pavanibhyo Vaishnavena namaha. So today is a very glorious day, celebrating the appearance day of Sri Advaita Acharya, Advaita Saptami. And we understand immediately that Advaita Acharya is totally non-different to Mahavishnu, that divine personality who lies within the causal ocean, and from the pores of his body, from his skin, are emanating unlimited billions of universes. So this personality is that same personality. And he is instrumental in manifesting the material worlds, the universes. And from when he manifests these universes from the pores of his skin, then again is manifested the Purusha avatar of Garbhodakshai Vishnu, enters into each of those universes. And then again, by the potency, ultimately, of Lord Narayan, is manifesting the Kshirodakshai Vishnu. So these three Purush avatars. So Mahavishnu, in conjunction with Sadashiva, because Advaita Acharya is non-different to Sadashiva also, which is remarkable, this combination of these two personalities, which are, of course, instrumental in manifesting this material world. When these worlds are manifested by the potency of Mahavishnu, then he is like the instrumental cause. He is manifesting those universes, and also simultaneously, it's described that he's the efficient cause, which is the manifestation of Durgama. He's actually manifesting that opportunity for Durgama to receive the seed, which is the embodiment of his glance towards the illusory energy, towards Maya Devi. And it's Shambhu, who's Shivji, carrying that glance into the Adara Shakti, or the womb of Durgama. So this is the immense potency of this personality who's taken his birth on this day that we're celebrating. So he's Vishnu Tattva, and we should follow the injunctions for Vishnu Tattva, which means we fast until noon minimum, and we should honor Ekadashi Prasadam for the day, and we break tomorrow morning. That's Shastric injunction. There's many places which don't follow like that, but that's unfortunate. I believe that by following carefully the Ekadashi, that's performing some type of austerity in honor of this personality. So Kripa will come from that personality if we restrain our senses by honoring Ekadashi preparations on this day and not taking grains. Then we're hungry for Kripa, we're hungry for mercy. However we can get the mercy, this is what we're hungry for. So Advaita, he's called Advaita because he's non-different to Krishna. Advaita, he's non-dual. He's that same original personality. And he's called Acharya because he teaches. He teaches the science of bhakti yoga. This is what he does. In principle, we're going to understand how he preaches the precepts of Mahaprabhu. He's called Nada. Mahaprabhu calls him Nada because Advaita Acharya, sitting on the bank of the Ganga, he wants to call Vishnu. He wants to call Mahaprabhu, rather. He wants to call Mahaprabhu to the world. He wants to call Krishna to the world. The actual conception of Mahaprabhu is not necessarily defined in his consciousness, but he wants to call Krishna. And it's Krishna who he perceives as Nimai Pandit and as Mahaprabhu. We will see. So he was born near Shantipur, and he comes to Shanti. He's born in a very high Brahmin family, and his wife Sita Devi is there with him, and he's greatly respected amongst the Brahmin community for his prowess in Shastra, etc., his scholarship. But he's lamenting at the pitiable condition of the jivas in the conditioned world at that time. They were translating the Bhagavad Gita from a completely Mayavad, impersonal point of view conception. And all of these Shastras was being preached through like a Mayavad vision. Sankaracharya previously had manifested in 800 BC is when Sankaracharya, so that's about almost 4,500 years ago, 5,000 years ago practically. No, 2,000 years ago. 2,000. No one's doing mathematics now? I'm just trying to do them in my brain. I'm not a good mathematician. Okay. Anyway, so it's about 800 is about 2,000 years back was Sankaracharya, but the effect of his preaching was still present. And of course, we understand the history that he came to purify the Buddhistic conceptions. But his teaching is very much similar to Buddhist conceptions of monism or impersonalism. Buddha advented to stop the Brahmanas from indulging in eating the flesh that they had offered in the yagyas. and he preached the philosophy of ahimsa, non-violence, but not according to Shastra. And then Sankaracharya, he brings the Shastra back and establishes the same philosophy, but on the basis of Shastra, the impersonal conception. So this impersonal conception still has its roots in Bharatvash when Advaita Acharya manifests. It's still there. So the Vaishnavas, they were very unhappy at the lamentable condition of the general populace. And the pundits would all speak impersonal philosophy and so on. So Advaita Acharya, he believes that the only way, the only solution is to fervently call for the Supreme Lord to make his, to manifest himself in this earthly plane. So he goes to the banks of the Ganga with Shalagram Shila, and he takes Ganga Devi water and Tulsi Devi, and he's offering this very simply to invoke the presence of the Lord. And he does this for many years, and he's calling very loudly. He's calling very loudly. So loudly, in fact, it's described that the throne of Lord Narayan is rocking, hearing the sound, loud roarings of his sound. That's why Mahaprabhu, he calls him Nada. Nada means that person who shakes his throne. So on the loud calling of Advaita Acharya, then Mahaprabhu advents in that 1484, 86, 1486 is the advent of Mahaprabhu. And Haridas Thakur and Advaita Acharya, at the time, they become so intoxicated with joy when Mahaprabhu appears on that full moon night that they begin dancing and dancing in just jubilation. They don't quite know, it's described in Chaitanya Bhagavat, why they're so joyful. But all of the residents of Nadia, they're also joyfully dancing. And Advaita Acharya, he suspects, oh, this is because of the advent of my Lord that I've called. And then they understand that he's born as the son of Sachimata and Jagannath Mishra. And it's described very beautifully in Chaitanya Bhagavat, how they go to the house of Sachimata, in particular Sachimata, Sachi Devi, she, his wife, Sita Devi, she's carried in a palanquin, it's described specifically, and she offers all kinds of beautiful gifts to Mahaprabhu at that time, including a tiger's claw that decorates his head on a thread. And she blesses him with the name Nimai because he's born under a neem tree. And she wants to protect him from any ghosts or anything like that. They understand this is the Supreme Lord. And they see his face like that. But after this, their consciousness by the Maya becomes covered so that they don't recognize him when he's growing up in his childhood years. But every now and again, because Advaita Acharya, he has a school in Shantipur. And in that school, that toll, he's teaching the scriptures according to the Vaishnava precepts. And Gadadhar Pandit is there. No, Vishwarup, sorry. And Gadadhar Pandit is also there too. But Vishwarup, the elder brother of Nimai, he's attending that school. And many days, Nimai, young Nimai, 5 or 6 years old, or even younger, he comes into that assembly to request his brother Vishwarup to come home for prasad. Sachimata has sent him. And Advaita Acharya, he sees this extraordinary child, and he knows there's something so exceptional about him. But he doesn't know entirely his identity. It's not confirmed. But they are thinking that this is an extraordinary personality. Because Vishwarup, his brother, is also an extraordinary personality. This is the manifestation of Baladev Prabhu, who later, of course, goes and takes sannyasa Sankaranya, and then that form merges into Nityananda Prabhu. So Advaita Acharya, he's seeing Nimai, when he's young, but he's not acknowledging that it is fully that Supreme Lord that he called. So then, um, with the at this time, Advaita Acharya, he's very much lamenting for the lower castes that they should become um, acquainted with the Vaishnava precepts also. He's a completely non-sectarian mood, and he wants this understanding of bhakti to be distributed everywhere. So when Haridas Thakur comes from Bangladesh, he stays with Advaita Acharya. And of course, Haridas Thakur is in a Muslim body. But Advaita Acharya, he embraces Haridas Thakur as the one of the only pure Vaishnavas, because there's the very beautiful description of the pastime when Advaita Acharya, he's offering to his forefathers the Shraddha plate. And there's many hundreds of brahmanas. They come into that assembly while he's performing that ritual offering of the Shraddha Patra, the Shraddha plate. And it's traditional that the person who's doing that will offer that plate to the most senior Brahmin that is there. So many of them were considering, oh, perhaps I will be offered that plate. But instead, Advaita Acharya, he walks outside that assembly and finds Haridas, who's sitting by a tree outside the assembly, and offers him that plate. Haridas, of course, collapses in an ocean of humility. But Advaita Acharya is totally insistent that he takes this plate, and he quotes so many Shastric quotes to um, ensure that Haridas is understanding what Advaita Acharya is doing. Because the Brahmins that Advaita Acharya has been speaking with, many of them are smarter Brahmins. And he wants to break that smarter mentality where they are thinking they are Brahmanans by caste rather than by qualification. This is what we've gone over many times in Jivadharma. In many of the chapters, it's dealt with this particular point. So Advaita Acharya, he is unhappy that these Brahmins are so proud of their Brahman birth, but without having the Brahminical qualities to go along with the actual identity of a Brahmana. So he gives the plate to Haridas Thakur. And then all those Brahmanas, they all leave. They become so disturbed, they all leave. But then, and they abuse Advaita Acharya as they're leaving. They're very unhappy that he's broken the traditional idea of offering to a high caste Brahmana. And I'm saying this pastime because this is what Advaita Acharya is doing quite regularly. He's breaking this casteism in all kinds of different ways. We'll see. So the Brahmanas, they leave, and then they have a meeting amongst themselves, and they all have realized fully just how potent is Advaita Acharya. They all know his strength and his potency. So then after they meet with each other, they all decide, actually, Advaita Acharya must be doing the right thing. So they all come back again. But this is an example of the uh, boldness of Advaita Acharya. He will do whatever is necessary to implant the seeds of Shuddha Bhakti in the world. And we see in the rest of his life, this is actually what he's doing in Bengal in particular, around the area of Shantipur. So coming back to Mahaprabhu, so when Mahaprabhu manifests his pastimes, and then at a certain point, when Mahaprabhu is about 22 years old, this is in about 1508. In 1510, he accepts the renounced order. So in 1508, he begins to manifest his Bhagavata, his form as being Bhagavan. And all the devotees become so overjoyed because Advaita Acharya has been calling out for this avatar to appear to relieve the burden of the earth in the form of ignorance that is prevailing so strongly. So when all the Vaishnavas are aware that actually this Nimai Pandit, who everyone loves, he's been Nimai the scholar, and he's defeated Keshav Kashmiri. He's had so many wonderful pastimes, exhibiting his prowess in the scholastic world. And then he's met Ishwara Puripad, and then he's gone to Gaya, and he's taken initiation from Ishwara Puripad. And then he's returned with such a mood of devotion, and all the devotees are completely spellbound by his. He will meet the devotees on the streets and ask them if he can do anything for them. And previously to this, he was chasing the devotees on the street, tackling them with various debate ideas of contending the philosophy and so on, and wanting the devotees to debate with him and capturing them. And if they did start to debate with him, he would defeat them. And then he would defeat himself also. His own conceptions that he'd just put forward, then he'd defeat those as well. So all of the Vaishnavas were terrified of him. And many times the Vaishnavas would see him coming down the street and they would just take a side road and turn away. They didn't want to meet him. And they all lamented, oh, if this Nimai Pandit could become a Vaishnava, how wonderful this would be. So when he returns from Gaya, he's filled with these devotional sentiments. And then he's, all the devotees are so amazed and in joy to see him acting in this way, becoming like this. And then he starts to, in the house of Srivas Thakur, he starts to demonstrate his real personality as that avatar. And he informs the devotees to go and bring Advaita Acharya, to tell them this person who he's called for and shouted for and shaken his throne, he's actually arrived. So I want to read this from the Chaitanya Bhagavat because it's such a beautiful description and it says it so much better than I can ever say it. But this is Vrindavan Das Thakur describing this pastime. This is when the devotees have all met together and they're all honoring Mahaprabhu as that golden avatar. So then one day, Mahaprabhu, in the mood of the Supreme Lord, now he's come into that mood of the Supreme Lord, lovingly instructed Ramai. Ramai is the youngest brother of Srivas Thakur. Srivas Thakur has 4 brothers, and the youngest is Ramai. He says, Ramai, go to the house of Advaita and inform him that I have manifested. He has appeared to distribute devotional service. He should come immediately to join him. And then it's saying, also secretly inform him about Nityananda's arrival, whatever else you have seen. So Ramai has to go and inform him everything that he's seen. Tell him to quickly come here with his wife and with articles for my worship. Being ordered by the Lord, Ramai, the youngest brother of Srivas, remembered Lord Hari and immediately left. Ramai was overwhelmed in ecstasy and did not know which way he was going. Simply by the order of Sri Chaitanya, he arrived at his destination. So Mahaprabhu would bewilder the minds of those personalities with his tremendous potency of affection. Ramai Pandit offered his obeisances to Advaita Acharya, but he was filled with such ecstasy that he was unable to speak. By the influence of devotional service, the omniscient Advaita already understood. The order of the Lord has arrived, is what he said. On seeing Ramai, he smiled and said, I guess you have come here to take me. With folded hands, Ramai Pandit said, you know everything. Please come immediately. The respect for Advaita Acharya was supreme. They all understood his potency, the Vaishnavas, and loved him dearly. Advaita Goswami became overwhelmed in ecstasy. He did not know anything. He even forgot his own body. Who can understand the grave characteristics of Advaita? Although he knows everything, he acts like an ordinary person. So this is what is amazing. He's the supreme personality of Godhead himself as Vishnu, and yet he's going to act as his servant. This can melt the heart of the Vaishnavas. He says, where is it stated that the Supreme Lord advents among human beings? In which scripture is it said that the Lord would incarnate in Nadia? Because this is a secret, confidential manifestation of Mahaprabhu. He appears in three yugas in his form, but in the Kali Yuga, this is not described as an avatar of Krishna appearing here, except as a verse, Krishna Varnam Tvisa Krishnam Sangopangasta Parsadam Yagya Sankirtanam Priya Yajanti Hi Sumerishaha. In the 11th canto, it's describing there will be this manifestation, but it's just one verse. But Advaita Acharya is contesting this. Your brother Shrivas knows everything about my devotional service, renunciation, and spiritual knowledge. Ramai was fully aware of Advaita's characteristics, so he did not reply. He smiled to himself. Such are the unfathomable characteristics of Advaita. They are auspicious for the devotees and impediments for the miscreants. He further said, O Ramai Pandit, tell me, what is the reason for your sudden arrival? When Ramai Pandit understood that Advaita Acharya had become peaceful, he cried and spoke to him as follows. The Lord you worshipped for so long, the Lord you cried for, the Lord you fasted for, that Lord has now manifest. He has come in order to distribute devotional service. He has ordered you to join him. Take the 6 appropriate ingredients for worshipping him. The Lord has ordered you to come with your wife. Nityananda Swarup has arrived. He is the Lord's second body and your life and soul. You know him very well. What can I tell you? If I am fortunate enough, I will see you all together, see everybody all together. As soon as Advaita heard this from the mouth of Ramai, he raised his hands and began to cry. As he cried, he fell unconscious to the ground in ecstasy. On seeing this, everyone there was astonished. After a while, he regained his external consciousness and roared loudly. He repeatedly exclaimed, I have brought my Lord, I have brought my Lord. After so much tapas, now is the revelation when the fruit of that tapas is manifesting. And he wasn't sure that the Lord was going to come because it wasn't a scheduled incarnation. The Lord came for the roaring to answer the Lord wanted to manifest to taste that prem, that special prem that Radhika only tastes, that Madanaki Mahabhav. And he was going to come in Kali Yuga at some point, it's described. But because of the loud roaring of Advaita Acharya, he came early into the age. He was actually going to manifest later on, but he came early in the age because directly of the roaring. As he cried, he fell unconscious to the ground in ecstasy. On seeing this, everyone there was astonished. After a while, he regained his external consciousness and roared loudly. He repeatedly exclaimed, I have brought my Lord, I have brought my Lord. Because of me, the Lord has come from Vaikuntha. Speaking in this way, he rolled on the ground and cried. So one who is intoxicated with love and affection for the Lord, when he feels that his calling was successful, how much his heart is melting in prem towards that Lord. How much affection is he feeling? Completely overwhelmed, as is being described. On hearing about the appearance of the Lord, Advaita's chaste wife, the mother of the universe, cried in happiness. Although Achyutananda, the son of Advaita, was only a small child, he also cried incessantly. Advaita, along with his wife and son, all cried. All the servants surrounding them also cried. No one was aware of who cried. Whereas Advaita's entire household became filled with love for Krishna. Such an incredible appreciation that the Lord has manifested. Can we imagine all of a sudden in Navadvip the Lord manifesting? How joyful this would be. Although Advaita tried to compose himself, he was unable to do so. His body continually rocked back and forth in ecstatic love of God. He said to Ramai, What did the Lord tell me? Ramai replied, Come immediately. Advaita Prabhu said, O Ramai Pandit, listen. If he acts like my Lord, then I will have faith with him. Advaita's going to test him. If he displays his opulence to me and places his lotus feet on my head, then I will recognize him as the Lord of my life. I swear this is the truth. Ramai said, O Prabhu, what can I say? If I am fortunate, I will see this with my own eyes. Whatever you desire is also his desire. In fact, the Lord has incarnated because of you. Advaita Prabhu was pleased to hear Ramai's statement. He then began to make arrangements for the auspicious journey. He said to his wife, quickly get ready, take the ingredients for worship and let us go. Advaita's chaste wife knew the truth about Lord Chaitanya. She gathered together sandal paste, flower garlands, incense, and cloth. She also took some of the Lord's favorite items, like condensed milk, yogurt, cream, butter, camphor, and betel nuts. Advaita Prabhu, the incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, then departed with his wife. He forbade Ramai Pandit from informing the Lord about his arrival. Tell him, Advaita Acharya has not come. Then I will see what my Lord has to say. So he's going to test him. I will secretly stay in the house of Nandanacharya, but you tell him that he has not come. Sri Vishrambar, who resides in the heart of everyone, understood Advaita's resolution. Knowing about the arrival of Advaita Acharya, the Lord went to the house of Srivas Pandit. Almost all of Lord Chaitanya's devotees gathered there by the will of the Lord. Everyone could understand that the Lord was absorbed in ecstasy. They all became anxious and stood there silently. Then Lord Tridas Rai, that's the king of the three yugas, not this yuga, because he doesn't come as the Lord. Like we don't put a peacock feather on him. We don't put tulsi on his feet, etc. This is not a place. This is not to be worshipped as the Lord. We don't give him a tulsi garland, etc. He's come in a covered form. We should respect that. The Lord repeatedly declared, Nada has come, Nada is coming. Nada wants to see my opulences. So this Nada means that person who shakes the throne, I've already said. Nityananda knows the Lord's desires. With this understanding, he held an umbrella over the Lord's head. And remember, this is like practically the first time that the Lord is really demonstrating his omniscience in front of the devotees. This is a completely grand occasion. And Advaita Acharya is part of all this. Understanding the situation, Gadadhar offered camphor and betel nuts. Everyone present served the Lord according to their own favorable mood. Some offered prayers and some offered various services. At that time, Ramai arrived there. Before Ramai could speak anything, the Lord said to him, Nada has sent you to test me. The Lord rolled his head and said, Nada is coming. He knows me well, yet he always tests me. This is beautiful. Why is he testing him? Not only for his own sake, but he's very conscious of the populace, of all the conditioned souls. He wants them to, their faith to be made strong. So he's performing this pastime for their benefit, to make their faith strong. I know Nada is hiding in the house of Nandaracharya, and he has sent you to test me. Quickly go and bring him here. I am gladly saying this with my own mouth, Mahaprabhu says. Ramai Pandit again happily went and explained to Advaita everything that the Lord has said. On hearing him, Advaita Acharya floated in waves of ecstasy. Having fulfilled his purpose, he immediately went to the Lord. And there's a commentary by Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. He says the purpose of Advaita was to reveal the supremacy and omniscience of Mahaprabhu to the people of the world. That's what I've just said. This is why he hid himself in the house of Nandanacharya and deceptively ordered Ramai not to disclose his intention to Mahaprabhu. Now that Sri Mahaprabhu had personally disclosed these facts about Advaita and thereby proved his supremacy, Advaita's intention had been fulfilled. Advaita Acharya and his wife offered obeisances from a distance and recited prayers as they approached the Lord. They came before the Lord, surrendered at his lotus feet, which awarded fearlessness, and saw his matchless beauty, which enchants the entire universe. Remember, even though he's Mahavishnu, he's not walking around being conscious that he's Mahavishnu. Understand this. It's like a Mahabhagavat is born in a humble Vaishnava family, something like that. But he's not walking around thinking, oh, I am a Mahabhagavat. That Yogamaya, she will cover his true identity to that person themselves. Otherwise, it would become very difficult for them to go through their natural family pastimes, etc. And at Advaita Acharya, it's similar. So he also has that covering. As I explained before, Nimai manifested previously, and both Haridas and Advaita were thinking with great jubilation that something absolutely magical has happened. And then they went to visit Nimai on his birth ceremony celebration. But still, they're not acknowledging later that this is the personality that we have called, that Advaita has called. So understand this conception nicely. Yes, he made all these, but still, it didn't kind of like hit the spot. They think, yes, he is that Supreme Lord. Nilambar Chakravarti Thakur, it describes, he didn't reveal everything at that time. He revealed that he would be a great, great, great Vaishnava, but didn't reveal the extent of his avatar nature or identity, because he understood that this is actually confidential. It's like there's many pastimes when Mahaprabhu, like the Brahman who came and was cooking offering, and then Mahaprabhu, as a little boy, was taking those offerings. Twice he took them. On the third time he took the offering, that Brahmana was astonished. And then Mahaprabhu showed him his real form and instructed him, if you reveal this to anyone, you will lose your life. So this is a confidential understanding. So similarly, Advaita Acharya wasn't absolutely confirmed until this point that I'm reading. This is why I wanted to read this, because Advaita Acharya, for our benefit, not only calls the Lord, but reveals the Lord to us by testing him in this way. This was one of the tests, and now the second one. Advaita and his wife offered obeisances from a distance and recited prayers as they approached the Lord. They came before the Lord, surrendered at his feet, which award fearlessness, and saw his matchless beauty, which enchants the entire universe. The Lord's enchanting beauty defeated that of millions of cupids, and his effulgent body resembled molten gold. This is how Advaita Acharya is seeing him. His pleasing face defeated the beauty of millions of moons. He always bestowed mercy on Advaita Acharya. His two arms, decorated with various ornaments and jewels, resembled two golden pillars. His broad chest was decorated with the mark of Srivats and the Kastuba gem. He wore earrings shaped like sharks and a Vaijayanti garland. His unlimited effulgence defeated that of millions of suns. Advaita Acharya has the capacity to experience this. Rama, the goddess of fortune, sat at his lotus feet, and Ananta held an umbrella over his head. No one could discern whether the shining objects at the Lord's feet were toenails or jewels. Standing in a threefold bending form, he smiled as he played a flute. Advaita saw the Lord, his associates, and his ornaments as full of effulgence. He saw personalities with 4 heads, 5 heads, and 6 heads offering obeisances to the Lord. He saw personalities like Narad and Shukadev offering prayers with awe and reverence. He saw a beautiful woman resembling Ganga sitting on a shark and offering obeisances to the Lord. This is what he's seeing. Then he saw the 1,000-headed Anantashesh offering prayers to the Lord as the effulgent demigods watched on all sides. This is an incredible manifestation of the Lord's opulence. This is all Aishwarya, because Mahavishnu, he's coming from that Aishwarya realm. He's not coming from that Goloka Vrindavan realm. He's seeing the magnificence of the Lord of Vaikuntha. This is what he's perceiving with all this Aishwarya. And Advaita Acharya, he also conducts his life with this backdrop, this background of Aishwarya. He doesn't preach Braja Prem. That's not what he's manifested for. And neither Nityananda is preaching that specifically. He's pointing us in the direction of Mahaprabhu. Nityananda is pointing us, Heno Nitai Bine Bai Radha Krishna Paitenai. He's pointing us to Mahaprabhu to go and you take this Braja Prem from Mahaprabhu. That is his mission. He is Krishna himself. He can give that. But Advaitacharya Mahavishnu, he cannot give that Braja Prem. And that's not the purpose of his manifestation. The purpose of his manifestation is to distribute the Sankirtan movement, to distribute Shuddha Bhakti to the general people. That's what he wanted to do. So this is what he's empowered to do by the Lord ultimately himself. This was his position. Advaita turned his head and saw thousands of demigods chanting the name of Krishna at the feet of the Lord. Those demigods that are meditated on at the time of worship were all seen surrounding the lotus feet of the Lord. On seeing these opulences, Advaita was struck with wonder and got up from his prostrated position. This is Mahavishnu now. Now, I'm thinking that his identity of Mahavishnu will be coming to his consciousness now, so that he can actually see such, have darshan of such incredible, effulgent beings and so on. He saw great serpents and hundreds of hoods raise their arms while offering prayers to the Lord. He saw the entire sky filled with divine chariots. The airways were congested by elephants, swans, and horses. Big drum rolls. He's seeing this incredible spectacle of Aishwarya. Millions of serpents' wives were offering prayers to the Lord while chanting the name of Krishna with tears in their eyes. There was no vacant space left on the earth or in the sky. He saw many great rishis offering obeisances in one corner. So he's seeing all this, and Vrindavan Das Thakur is describing all this for our benefit, so that we can appreciate the reality of this supreme avatar, because he's a covered avatar. Sometimes he will be begging the devotees for their mercy. I've just described before, when he returned from Gaya, it's actually described in Chaitanya Char. He would be begging them, can I wash your cloth for you? Can I do some savor for you? What can I do for you? He was begging them this way. He was not acting like the Supreme Lord. Not at all. He was acting like a servant of the Lord to maintain that covering so that he could taste fully Sri Radhika's Mohan Bhav, these bhavs of separation in Puri later on. Upon seeing these opulences, both husband and wife were so awestruck they became speechless. The most merciful Lord Vishwambhar looked at Advaita and spoke as follows: I have descended to fulfill your vow, for you have profusely worshipped me. So Advaita Acharya, through the sincerity of his heart, implored the Lord to manifest in this world at this time for the sake of the bewilderment of the ignorant, conditioned souls. And he called him piteously. I have descended to fulfill your vow, for you have profusely worshipped me. I was sleeping in the ocean of milk, but your loud cries broke my sleep. You could not tolerate the suffering of the living entities, so you have brought me to deliver them. This was his intention. All my associates that you saw surrounding me have already taken birth because of you. By your mercy, Vaishnavas that even personalities like Brahma desire to see will now be seen by everyone. Everyone will be able to have darshan of these personalities, the demigods. On hearing the Lord's words, Advaita and his wife raised their arms and began to cry. Today my life has become successful. Today all my desires have been fulfilled. Today my life and activities have become successful, for I have seen your lotus feet. The four Vedas only describe your glories, but cannot directly see you, yet you have appeared before me. I have no power outside of your causeless mercy. Who can deliver the living entities other than you? While speaking in this way, Advaita Acharya floated in the ecstasy of love of God. The Lord then said, now arrange for my worship. On receiving the Lord's order, he happily worshipped the lotus feet of Lord Chaitanya with full attention. He first washed the lotus feet of the Lord with fragrant water and then smeared them with sandal paste. He dipped tulsi manjaris in the sandal paste and placed them and the ingredients of agya on the Lord's lotus feet. He worshipped the Lord with 5 ingredients like sandal, wood, paste, flowers, incense, and ghee. As he worshipped the Lord, tears of love flowed from his eyes. He offered a lamp of 5 ghee wicks and again offered prayers. Finally, he chanted Jai, Jai. After worshipping the Lord's feet with 16 ingredients, he offered a flower garland, incense. And then it goes on to describe his worship, which is very, very opulent and very beautiful. But I just wanted to share the description of when Advaita Acharya first sees the Lord and his immense affection and attraction for the Lord in all ways. And then the Lord, he embraces him into his company, but he's always considering that Advaita Acharya is his superior, because Advaita Acharya has been initiated by Madhavendra Puripad. It's described Madhavendra Puripad came and stayed with Advaita Acharya. And also when Advaita Acharya was traveling, he met Madhavendra Puri and he took initiation directly from him. So this is the Param Guru of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So then he is deserving of all respect from Mahaprabhu. So Mahaprabhu would always teach us the absolute etiquette of how to behave in relationship with other Vaishnavas. So he would always worship Advaita, but Advaita is feeling that he's been cheated. Advaita just wants to give his heart in surrendered service to the lotus feet of Mahaprabhu. And he's constantly asking Mahaprabhu, allow me just to be your servant. Mahavishnu is a Purusha avatar. And that Supreme Lord, he's manifesting from Lord Narayan, the Purusha avatars. And that Supreme Narayan has been manifested by the Chatuvyuha, the second Chatuvyuha. Then there's the first Chatuvyuha of Sankarshan. And then that this is all coming from Baladev Prabhu, representing the Sandini Shakti. That Sandini Shakti is manifesting through Swarup Shakti. And this is all coming from the Shakti of Brajendranandan Sham Sundar. So that's the ontological line, so to speak. And Mahavishnu is further down, we can say, if we drew a line of their positions and so on. So he only wants to render service to Sankarshan and to Brajendranandan Shamsundar. But he's not really seeing Brajendranandan Shamsundar. He's really seeing the Lord of Vaikuntha, who is Lord Narayan, we've just described. This is how it was revealed. So he doesn't know how to get the mercy of Mahaprabhu. We know the pastime. He decides to begin to preach Mayavad philosophy. He thinks this is the only way to get the proper mercy of my Lord. So after some time of many kirtans and so on have gone by, and he's realizing he's not getting the position of servant of Mahaprabhu, then he goes back to Shantipur. Then he begins to preach the Bhagavad Gita from an impersonal conception, very strongly, because he has so many associates there and they're all listening to this. And of course, the word immediately gets to Mahaprabhu, who becomes infuriated that he's called him and now to purify all the Mayavadis, and now he's speaking the Mayavad philosophy. So he comes to the courtyard of Advaita Acharya, where he's speaking from his Bhagavatam, and he grabs Advaita Acharya and throws him down and begins slapping him and slapping him and slapping him. And Advaita Acharya puts his arms back in complete ecstasy. He's so much ecstatic. He says, yes, now my Lord is understanding my real position. But he's beating and beating him. And then Sita Devi, his wife, she comes running out and she tries to hold back You're going to kill the old man. Don't keep beating him like this. And then Mahaprabhu, he comes to his senses after this ecstatic exchange. And then he steps back. And then he becomes a little shy, because he's exhibited such a sort of powerful chastisement of Advaita. And Advaita is in complete ecstasy. He's dancing and dancing and dancing. And then the Lord, he begins to laugh and expresses that now Advaita has controlled him by his love. And Advaita Acharya This pastime, when this pastime is concluded, then from then on, Advaita Acharya was always able to act as the most humble servant with Mahaprabhu. Because Advaita Acharya, he travels to Puri every year for the Ratha Yatra and dances ecstatically with Nityananda Prabhu and all the Vaishnavas. But we do understand that the designated service of Advaita Acharya was not to preach Braja Prem. It was to point in the direction of Braja Prem, but he cannot give. That's not his position to give Braja Prem. Neither Nityananda is going to give Braja Prem because that can only be given by that uh, Brijbasi personality who is Mahaprabhu himself as Brajendrananda and Shamsundar. And Mahaprabhu only gets that Sakhi Bhav when he goes to Godavari. And Rai Ramananda gives him that. Previously, that was in potential within his heart, but it hadn't manifested till he speaks and converses with Rai Ramananda. And we got the whole conversation in that Madhya Lila chapter 8. So there are many incredible pastimes of Advaita Acharya, especially when Mahaprabhu first takes sannyas and tries to go to Vrindavan, but Nityananda, he tricks him and brings him to the bank of the Ganga, and he tells him it's the Jamuna, and somehow or other they've got a message to Advaita Acharya. They bring him back to Shantipur, and there's a huge festival. This is after Mahaprabhu has shaved off all his beautiful hair, and um, all the devotees are celebrating for many, many days, and Sita Thakurani and Sachimata, they're all facilitating cooking so much. And we described yesterday, the day before, how only one person couldn't come, and that was Vishnu Priya. But everyone else is. But Advaita Acharya, he made a trick to actually bring Mahaprabhu to his home at that time. So there are so many pastimes of such beauty and speciality. And the principal preaching in Bengal today historically was manifested primarily by Advaita Acharya and Nityananda Prabhu. Mahaprabhu would constantly be sending them back from Puri. He would even be instructing them, don't come again to Puri. You should stay there. But due to their deep love for Mahaprabhu, they would transgress that order and come again to Puri each year. But Mahaprabhu wanted them just to stay in Bengal and distribute the Sankirtan Ras, because it's this Sankirtan Ras that Nityananda and his Dwadasa Gopals are demonstrating in so many occasions in Bengal. And Advaita Acharya, he's also doing the same thing. And he begs for in one point, Mahaprabhu asks him, ask a boon from me, ask a boon from me. And Advaita Acharya, he asks that the lowest people and the women and the malechas, they actually have access to this Sankirtan Ras. He begs this from Mahaprabhu. And Mahaprabhu, he acknowledges that and said, yes, your words cannot go in vain. This will manifest. So because of Advaita Acharya Prabhu, we have the opportunity to come in touch with this Sankirtan Ras because of this benediction by Advaita Acharya. So Advaita Acharya is so much present in our lives today because he brought that Lord in a timely way. And it happens that we're just here at this particular time to receive his teachings and precepts through his this Manjari line from Rupa Goswami. So we have so much to feel gratitude with Advaita Acharya. The four principal reasons why Mahaprabhu advented. The first was to taste his own prem. The second was to give the jivas service to that prem. And the third was to answer the call of Advaita Acharya. So this answering the call of Advaita Acharya, of course, the fourth is to chant the holy name, the holy name is empowered. But Advaita Acharya is proliferating that chanting of the holy name along with Nityananda Prabhu, especially here in Bengal. And then it travels all over the world by the mercy of all the great stalwart Vaishnavas, principally headed by Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. So Advaita Saptami Ki Jai. These are just a few small pastimes that I've mentioned. I really wanted to mention this first meeting because I thought it demonstrated the Aishwarya vision that Advaita has. Advaita is carrying that mood. He's not carrying that Madhurya Bhav to the same degree that, of course, Mahaprabhu is able to give. There's a distinction. It's called different prakoshts, different chambers of consciousness that all these personalities are presenting. But it's also, finally, one interesting point that now is Advaita Saptami today. Next week, we're going to have Madhvacharya, then Ramanuja, then Ekadashi, then Varahadev, and then um, Nityananda Triyodasi. So all of these are preparing the way for Mahaprabhu's advent next month. So all of these are steps on the way. So we glorify these personalities in preparation for the great glorious day of Gaur coming next month, so very soon. So it's all steps along the way. So Advaita Acharya Prabhu ki jai, Anantakota Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai, Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Ramo Ramo Hari Nitai Gora Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Gora Hari Bol Nitai Gora Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Gora Hari Bol Gora Premanandi Hari Hari Bol Advaita Saptami Ki Jai Gora Premanandi Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhavevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namaha Hare Krishna.